Hey, family, and thank you so much for joining me. Wherever you are watching me from, whether you are driving, whether you're at work, and if you are driving, please make sure that you have me on some type of dashboard so that you're not holding your phone. Maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're resting at home. Maybe you're incarcerated or in the hospital or somewhere of that nature tonight. And if that is the case, I am praying for you, praying for your strength, and I am praying for your healing. Maybe you're watching this at a joyous time of your life, and I celebrate with you. Maybe you're watching this at a time where you are searching for answers, and I am praying that something that I say would be an answer to something that has been on your heart. Maybe you're watching this while you are waiting for something to turn or something to change. And I'm hoping that the words that I share with you tonight will help to soothe that space where anxiety may exist, where fear may exist, and or where there is some complexity of your thoughts. I'm hoping that the words that I share with you tonight will bring a resolve. Matter of fact, I will speak that into existence. I will speak into existence that tonight, through the words that I share, you will hear your answer. I am speaking tonight that there will be clarity and precision to your thoughts, to your emotions, and that every single situation that you have on your heart tonight, that you will hear a word that will help to restore your faith, restore your hope, and to point you in the direction of where you should go next. Tonight, I do want to talk about the subject of rest, and I know that this is not a subject that I like to talk about. I don't like to do it very often, especially because we're in a society where I believe that it is the common norm to actually grind. It is the common norm for everyone to hustle. It's the common norm for you to always be about something and moving, so much so that I think I heard the other day that someone said, "Who has time for sleep when there's money to make?" I want to remind us tonight that money is not everything, that having things is not everything, that we have to do what's necessary, one, for our mental health, but two, for our bodies and also for those that are around us. And while there may be a myriad of situations and circumstances that you are facing right now, whether it is your finances, whether it is your health, whether it's your business that you're trying to get started, maybe it's your children, maybe it's your relationship, maybe it is trying to navigate what to do on a job, or maybe you are facing something right now that you feel as though there is a necessary action that you have to take. Maybe you have a petition before God, and maybe there's something that you've been praying over, and you might be feeling right now like maybe there's something else I need to do. If there's something else I can figure out, and you may have been racking your brain trying to figure that out. And when we are in that place, often we can feel guilty for resting. I know that I have felt guilty so many times for resting. So much so that if you ever come to visit me, the whole time you are at my house, I am going to constantly move and clean. I don't like to be seen as lazy. If I'm at work, I have been known to be an overworker, taking on projects and things that I don't necessarily have to take on because I want to always be seen doing the work. I want to overcome the status or the idea of being lazy, and so I do extra in order to accomplish that. And maybe you're in that place today where you're feeling as though there's something more that you should be doing. And you're feeling guilty because you feel like I've prayed about this, but there's got to be an action I've got to take. Sometimes the only action that you need to take is to rest. Sometimes that is the very thing that is necessary that you have not done. If you could rack your brain and you could say, I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried the other, I've tried so many different things, and there has been no resolve. And it is possible tonight that the reason why there has been no resolve is because the position that you are supposed to take now is to rest. Hebrews chapter 4, verse number 9, verse number 9 through verse number 11. It reads this way. there remains then a Sabbath rest for the people of God. Verse 10, for anyone who enters God's rest also rest from their works, just as God did from his. Let us therefore make every effort to enter that rest, so that no one will perish by following their example of disobedience. Sometimes overworking ourselves can be an act of just us trying to fulfill God's shoes. Sometimes the act of you overworking yourself can be a result of your lack of trust that God will do what he said he could do. Sometimes it takes more faith for us to do nothing else besides to pray, put it in God's hands, and know that he has the rest, and believe that our steps are already ordered. You know, the other day, I was talking to a good friend of mine that I work out with from time to time. And I was telling him, I said, hey, I've started doing 2-a-days because I am really, really, really trying to hit a specific goal. There's a certain image that I'm reaching for. And when I say image, I mean of my physical body as far as my all of my different vitals and also the aesthetics as well. And this friend told me, he said, well, you know that rest days are important. That sat with me for a few moments because truth is I don't know how to rest. I'm talking about something tonight that I am still learning how to do. And I'm talking about it not from the lens of me having accomplished this great job of actually being able to do it, but I'm talking to you as I'm talking to me tonight. I'm talking both of us through this particular space of thinking that there's something more that we have to do. It seems to be that on that rest day that I tried to take, I thought of all of the different exercises that I could do. I thought of what I didn't do all throughout the week that I could go ahead and throw that into Sunday, which was going to be my rest day. And I thought about it so much so that I eventually got myself up and I went to the gym and I told myself, I'm just going to go do cardio because I did not know how to sit and rest. I want you to answer this question to yourself today. How many times have you told yourself that you're not going to do that again? But then out of desperation or out of loneliness or out of a space of silence in your life, you went and did it anyhow. Think about how many times you have told yourself, I'm not going to check up on that thing again. I'm going to wait and let God do his job. And then when you sat for a while, you started thinking some thoughts and you started contemplating some ideas of things that you could say, things that you could do to make a change. And so then you went and did it. And then you come to find out that you did the wrong thing. And it's because the obedience was to rest. The thing that you should have done was to rest. Rest is so essential that even God did it on the seventh day. After he had created everything that needed to be created, he then stopped and he rested. It is time after time again that we see it in the Bible where even Jesus rested. He told his disciples that they needed to get away to a space to rest. When we look at Paul, Paul was a very active apostle. As he changed his name from Saul to Paul, he began to go from place to place in order to deliver the word of God, in order to show forth and to encourage others in God. But even he came to a place where he needed to rest. Titus restored him and gave him the energy that he needed. We're not above Jesus and we're not above God, which means that we too, we must rest. And that sometimes the greatest position, the greatest fight that you could ever fight is the fight against yourself and the need to have to do something or to say something. Tonight, this message is for a specific person. And this is for a person that has been beating your head up against the wall, wondering when it was going to happen. And it is to that person tonight that I share these words, that it's going to happen once you surrender and get to a place of rest where you stop allowing your mind to try to figure it out and you put it in God's hands and you allow Him to be God. The fight at this season of your life and in this space of your life is not to hustle harder. It's not to figure out what more busy work you can do. It's not to figure out what else you can say. It's not to figure out whether your intellect or whether your words or whether your wit can accomplish this great feat. Sometimes, and in this season, the goal is for you to rest. For you to rest and believe that what you have already done teamed with God, that God knows how to do the rest. And that when God does it, He will do much better than you could have ever imagined. Friends, tonight, this is a reminder that resting is one of the greatest things that we could ever do. When I was talking to that friend and he was sharing with me the benefits of resting, he said to me that resting gives your body time to heal and your muscles time to recover. Resting allows you to be restored. Some of you have been in a ongoing circumstance after circumstance, situation after situation, and you have been so involved in fighting and in hustling and in survival mode that resting seems as though it is a disservice. But resting is actually a service as unto God. Because what resting actually means is that it's no longer in your hands. It is fully in God's hands. And that any way God does this will be satisfied. Resting is an art of surrender. And it is you proving to God that you trust Him regardless of what happens. Maybe that child that you have been working aimlessly to get them to go the right path. Maybe you've been intervening into what God wants to do, thinking that you know what to do and thinking that you can figure out what to say to reach them. Maybe you've been getting in the way. And maybe the next course of action is to take a seat back and rest. Maybe that relationship that you've been trying to beat your head up against the wall, trying to make that person change, trying to make them see you for who you are. Maybe the reason why it hasn't happened is because you're too in their face. Maybe taking a rest and stepping back and allowing God to do the change will cause things to, one, either come together or will cause you to see that that wasn't what you really wanted in the first place. Maybe it's that job that you are fighting tooth and nail each and every day, overworking and showing up when you don't have to, working times that you don't have to, doing things that you don't have to do. Maybe you've been taken for granted, and maybe they won't recognize until you have stepped back. Resting has great benefits. Maybe it's the community. Maybe it's the business. Maybe you've been fighting tooth and nail, and maybe you have been fighting from an exhausted space. Maybe taking a moment to rest and recoup yourself will give you the clarity that you need, or will allow God to do what needs to happen behind the scenes. But resting is necessary. Friends, tonight I am hoping that you hear this message, and I'm hoping that these words will permeate into the deepest parts of your heart, that you will hear that the safest space for you to be at this time is to rest and to trust God. And to know that God can do this way better than any intellect, than any words that you have. That there is nothing that you can say that can outdo anything that God could do. That God could turn this whole entire situation around in just a mere second. That He can snap His fingers and everything will be changed. And maybe what God is waiting for is for you to step back, get out of the way, so that He can take over and get in the way. I thought about the other day when I was driving and had driven all the way to go see my son, and then my son told me, which I wasn't used to, he said, "I want to drive, Dad." And I wasn't used to that because I'm so used to driving myself. The moment my son began to drive, as nervous as I was and as scared as I was, I instantly started yarning and I said, "Oh, I'm sleepy. I'm so tired." Sleep all of a sudden came over me because I decided to get out of the driver's seat and I was able to lay back and rest. And by the time we got to where we were going, I was fully energized and ready to go because I had taken a rest, something that I normally would have never done. I'm going to ask you the question today. You've done everything else, so maybe just rest. Maybe use all of the energy that you've been exerting towards trying to make something change. Use that energy to make yourself rest. You may find things out about yourself in the rest. I know that when I was resting and when I did let my son drive for a few moments, I was able to see buildings that I probably would have never seen. I was able to see things that I probably would have never saw. I even was able to talk to him about things that I probably would not have been able to talk about because I would have been so focused on trying to see the road that my mind would not have been clear. I want to ask you what you may be missing trying to make things happen. What could you be seeing because you're not in the driver's seat? Because you're not in the passenger seat. If you would just slide over, let God take the lead. If you would just rest and trust that God knows what he's doing, I can guarantee you everything else may work out for you. Things may begin to move that you never imagined moving. Things will begin to happen that you never imagined to happen. Things will come together better than you could have ever written them down to come together because you got out of the way and you rested. You allowed yourself to be restored. Because when you do get to where you're going, you're going to need all of your energy. So don't allow what's happening around you to make you wear yourself out. Don't allow what's happening around you to think that you've got to overwork or have to compete with anyone else. This is the moment where you have to learn how to rest. Rest. Let God do the rest. I hope that tonight has blessed you. I hope that I've encouraged you, that I have spoken some form of clarity to you. I am praying that tonight that there would be a soothing that will come over your soul as the answers begin to pour into the depths of your heart, that the angels would minister to you and bring forth the healing that you so desperately need, the clarity that you have been praying for, looking for answers on every leaning side. I am hoping that the answers come in the form of you taking rest tonight. I hope that tonight has blessed you. Please do me a favor. If you need prayer, just simply say down in the chat, "I need prayer," and we will be praying for you. I want to thank every single one of you that sow every single week. And if you are not sowing, I would invite you to consider sowing, becoming a partner with us. Continue to sow, and I am praying for each and every one of you that everything that you sow tonight, that God would restore it back to you 100-fold return. Thank you for watching. Take your rest. Watch God do the rest. God bless you.